Jack is an IT expert. He works for a government department. In the last 6 months, Jack has had a hard time getting up in the morning. He finds he has no energy at work. What he used to be able to do easily takes a huge effort. He finds it really hard to get engaged, and he makes silly mistakes. By the time he gets home in the evening, he's exhausted, and he has no interest in what he usually enjoys. He falls asleep easily enough, but he wakes up at 4 a.m. in the morning and he can't get back to sleep. He wishes he could just snap out of it, but he can't. Sandra is his manager, and she's noticed that Jack, there's something different. He was always somebody she could depend on. He always pitched in when the going got rough. She's noticed the change. She's even talked to him about it. But he says he's fine. What's wrong with Jack? And what can Sandra do? Jack is depressed. He's one of thousands of workers across Canada suffering from this illness. Sandra and managers like her don't know what to do, don't know how to help people like Jack. People who are depressed are often plagued with self-doubt, which leaves them unable to sleep, which means they're not so productive at work, which leads to lower productivity, which leads to further depression. Just like cancer, the sooner this illness is diagnosed, the better the prognosis. So what can we do? We can do 5 things. Number 1, we can talk about it. Acknowledge that we have friends and family who are affected by this illness. Share this information. 20 years ago, we couldn't talk about cancer. We need to talk about depression. Number 2, make the workplace more supportive. There's no health without mental health. We need to improve our brain skills in a brain-based economy by informing people about this illness and encouraging them to get help. Number 3, reduce the multitasking and constant interruptions. It's a big stressor, and it's an ineffective way to work. It makes it very hard to concentrate in a knowledge economy. We're paid for our ability to gather information, to think, and to communicate. We're dependent on creativity and innovation. Multitasking interrupts our ability to do that. John Cleese talks about what he needs in order to write the Monty Python scripts and the Fawlty Towers scripts. He says he needs to create an oasis of space and time so that he can be creative in order to create the humor that we all love. He says interruptions are really destructive and a terrible waste of time. So we have to stop pretending that multitasking works. Number 4, stop tolerating workplace bullying. Bullying at work can cause depression in the person who's a target. And it can also be a symptom of depression in a bully. Read the book, The No Asshole Rule, and learn how to stop bullying at work. Number 5, when someone has to take leave for depression, support and understand them just as if they had cancer. If you had a colleague who had cancer, you would send cards, you'd phone, you'd expect a slower transition as they come back to work, and you'd welcome them back. People who are struck by depression in their most productive years have a hard time coping, but they hide it because we don't talk about it, because it's taboo. And yet it affects every single family in Canada. So, talk to people about what you've heard from me tonight, because if you don't, we'll continue to pay this for many years.